everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Top Ends with Twins. This is Paul checking in with Luke. Luke, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Better than Jamaica in the 96th minute.
Yeah, let's tell everybody what this podcast is kind of going to be about. So this is not an FPL-centered podcast. This is a U.S. men's national team-centered podcast where we are going to focus on the Nation League Semifinals and the final coming up on Sunday, which is what is that date? I think that would be the 24th. It would be the 24th. The USA will play Mexico on the 24th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. So we're excited for that one. That's going to be interesting, but there's a lot to break down from the Jamaica game. Luke, do you want to give any broad overviews or anything before we kind of really dive into the weeds of it?
I mean, we're not saying anything new here. Gio Reyna is special. And here's the thing. Whenever I don't know what Greg's decision was. I haven't looked at the comments from his post-match. I'm sure someone asked. But not playing Gio, it does give other people an opportunity, right? Malik Tillman, he didn't put in a bad performance. But Malik Tillman's not Gio, right? And we'll dive into that more later on. But that's kind of my overarching thought here. And also just one of frustration because we're playing Jamaica's B team with almost the entirety...
Questionably their B team. Possibly
with almost
their C
the
team.
entirety of our A team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's worrisome from a perspective of this is a match we should be winning 3-4, 5-0. And we can see in the details. We turn off in the 30th second. We don't even wait till the 35th minute. We turn off in the 30th second and concede an early goal. And then, of course, Jamaica's going to sit deep, play their 5-4-1, and just absorb, right? And we have shown time and time again with how we set up, we just can't match teams like that. We don't have the tactical setup in order to break them down because of how we play.
Yeah, I think it's completely necessary to see from just the difference between the first half and the second half. It was the three subs So Adams, I was questionable about, but Haji Wright and Gio, and especially Aronson too. I think those three subs were really good. That
was four.
Four total, yeah, four total. But there was the segment of three subs where you subbed in three people, and then later on. But I really think that Haji Wright was very impressive yesterday.
Yeah, he was good. It's interesting playing the double striker front, right? Because I think obviously Greg loves to get crosses in. So he eventually just said, hey, we're going to play two strikers with Pepe, two big strikers with Pepe and Haji Wright. Haji Wright was kind of playing somewhat of a winger, but more so just for a box crashing winger, right? That's all his intent and purpose was having him on the pitch. And it didn't work, right? I mean, we got extremely fortunate to get that goal in the 96th minute, right? It redeflects off a Jamaica defender to go in the goal and end up winning 3-1, right? It was good in extra time, right? We looked a lot better. But Jamaica is a team that we should be beating 3-1, 4-1. And whenever we were watching the match, around the 50th to 60th minute, I turned to Paul and I said, it doesn't matter if Jamaica scores a goal. We should be able to score multiple goals against them, even if they're sitting deep like this.
That's 100% true.
It's just a reflection of where we are as a team, and tactically, this is what we should expect, right?
Yeah.
Give up an early goal, we're screwed. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just frustrating, though, especially from a development perspective of this U.S. team, that we want to see them absolutely smashing sides like Jamaica, especially. I mean, a full-strength Jamaica team is actually a team I think that really could damage the U.S. And they have the Premier League level talent and players performing, honestly, in the best league in the world, where it would be, they should push the U.S.,
The mold for what Jamaica should be, the mold for Jamaica is West Ham.
Yeah.
Right? You sit deep and you break insanely quickly, get a couple situations and convert those few opportunities you have.
It's literally Antonio,
right? And rely upon the quality that your players have. Even Leon Bailey, he's having a great season in the Premier League. Bobby Cordova-Reid, we've talked about him a couple times on the pod. We don't need to go there, but Jamaica has talent,
Yeah.
And the way they played today plays to that talent because they're able to have that space to run into whenever they do retain the ball. Right. So Jamaica's a good team, but this version of Jamaica they played today, it should have been 3-4, 5-0.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we did concede one goal, but that shouldn't have changed. We should have known how they were going to play the whole time, and we didn't seem prepared for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like it's I think it's at the end of the day, it's just a really frustrating performance because I mean they should have lost. Really, the U.S. should not be playing on Sunday, but somehow they won, which. On the other hand of it being very frustrating is this team still managed to win a game they shouldn't have. So there is a tiny little bright spot in that because that's something that this team has to develop in knockout stage type games where whatever it takes, however it happens, like you just have to advance, and they advanced. So
it's always relative.
A tiny ray of sunlight and all the...
It's always relative,
shit,
though, because think about this. Say we're playing in Copa America over the summer, and Uruguay scores in the 30th second.
Mm-hmm.
That is completely different than conceding to Jamaica in the 30th second. Because Uruguay is going to go and they're going to score another goal and another goal. They're not going to reel in. And Jamaica did sit deep. Even, I mean, you know, the situation could be that they sit deep as well, but they have that elite talent that's really going to punish us if we make those simple, silly mistakes like we did against Jamaica.
Yeah, it's kind of a characteristic of this team that I think in moments they really like. I don't think this yet isn't a team yet that locks in for a full two halves and gives you a full complete performance. Then the day they're just not that mature yet.
And let's be very frank about this. A lot of our players are playing in the top leagues in Europe. Nations League semifinal does not have the ring to it that even just a regular Premier League match does.
Mm-hmm.
And even look at Pulisic. Look at Pulisic. He plays in a Champions League final. How it would be kind of hard to get up for a game against Jamaica in the middle of March.
Especially in the situation where you play it in the Cowboys stadium and you can hear the fans' chants echoing around the stadium because it's so empty. Like, I mean, this is a CONCACAF issue. It's a U.S. Soccer Federation issue, but there has to be a better way to get people in the stands because these players deserve to play in front of sold-out stadiums, which they have. I mean, if you look back and watch the World Cup qualifying cycle, like, especially the game against Mexico in Ohio, like, that stadium was insane. Like, that was something that was so fun to watch as a U.S. fan, and, like, the U.S. Soccer Federation just at this point is not great at creating this culture of, I don't want to say rabid U.S. fans because, I mean, a lot of the U.S. fans are rabid, but to have a larger collective of people that care about U.S. soccer, and it's somewhat upsetting as somebody that really cares about all this because I think both of us put a lot of time into watching these players, into thinking about this U.S. men's national team, and there's just not, it just hasn't really collectively taken hold yet. But it's one of those things where I think like we always talk about, there's a lot of room growth going forward for the U.S. with Copa America being here, with the World Cup being here in 2026. So hopefully we see a lot more of that because it sucks seeing our boys play in almost an empty stadium.
And as you're talking about this, kind of the thought that keeps coming into my mind is that it's all about the margins.
Yeah.
Everything is so fine and so entirely reliant upon a minute split-second decision that makes the difference in being up 3-0 or being down 1-0.
Yeah.
Right? Everything is just inherently really tight, right? You have to make those right decisions. And as you were saying with the USSF, right, the U.S. Soccer Federation, I worry that they're not putting our players in a position to where they can ultimately succeed. Mm-hmm. For example, I think, picking where they're going to play. How does it make sense to be playing a Panama team in World Cup qualifying where we're playing in negative 20-degree weather?
Yeah.
That is intentional, and it's reductive because we can't play actual football.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're not putting them in a position to where they can succeed and grow as a team, and that's what it should all be about. Even if we lose matches, that's why I was excited to see that we're playing Brazil in a friendly upcoming, because we're playing against good quality, elite players where we see what the margins are when we're playing as a collective unit. And that came across very clearly against Germany. When we played them recently in that friendly, we had chances. We looked good for portions of the match, but overall, it was not a good performance, and it showed on the scoreline.
Yeah, I agree. There's before we dive in tactically to a lot of the stuff we saw and like all this, do you want to take a little break real quick?
Yeah, let's take a quick little break, and we'll be right back.
Okay. All right, everybody. So I think now we're going to do a little bit more of a segment where we dive into what we saw in that match, in the Jamaica match specifically. Some of the goals, some of the tactical things we're taking away, and stuff we can improve on going forward. So, Luke, go ahead and start us off.
With with a rapid fast start, Jamaica got out to a 1-0 lead in the 36th second, with Gregory Leah heading the ball in at the far post after a cross from Bobby Cordova-Reid. Here, I think we kind of saw Scally get lost a little bit. He did give him a glance. Then he took a step in towards the near post where the ball is coming from. It got played behind him, and then there's not really much Matt Turner can do there because it's a pretty tight window.
Yeah, I think
he could have done better, right? Maybe a Matt Turner in form.
If he moves, I think if he just takes up more space to his right,
he would just have to be quicker.
Yeah.
In that case, right? Is kind of how I saw it too.
It would, honestly, if he would have saved it, it would have been a world-class save. So
yeah, there was a lot of pace on that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Jamaica get the early goal they really needed because then they can sit deep, right? The U.S. does not get their first goal until the 97th minute on a Burke own goal. That was redeflected by it was Robinson, right? I think it's Miles Robinson who redeflected it.
I think so.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think
so Miles Robinson redeflects it, and then we go to extra time, and in the 96th minute we get a Haji Wright goal to put the U.S. ahead 2-1, and then finally we get the third goal with Haji Wright, the 110th minute. Both of those Haji Wright goals came from assists from Giovanni Reina, who made his appearance in the second half. Mm-hmm. And frankly, it felt like the match shifted whenever Gio was in.
Yeah.
But I still do have concerns. So let's talk about the goals, and then I'll get into those concerns a little bit.
Yeah. The first goal for Jamaica, Jamaica's only goal, just seemed like it was the U.S. just wasn't prepared, really. For kickoff, it was literally the ball got played back to Jamaica. They played it out a long diagonal. It goes out of bounds on the side. They take a throw in. Kind of takes the U.S. by surprise, and everybody's caught flat-footed. It's really that simple, I think.
I think Anthony Robinson is to blame for a good portion. I don't know if blaming people is fair, but Anthony Robinson can do better there defensively, right? I think it seemed like he kind of switched off a little bit. And then
I think it was just a really weird moment. It seemed like he went to clear the ball, kind of missed it. I don't know. It was just a lapse of.
But inherently, these are the goals that I expect to see us concede.
Yeah,
is silly, dumb mistakes that shouldn't be happening. So, in my opinion, this should have been entirely avoidable. This first goal should not have happened.
Yeah, no, there's no. I don't think anybody would disagree with you on that, Luke. That it 100% should not have happened, but it did, and it took the U.S. A full 96 and a half minutes later,
a full match plus some, in order to get it back.
To get it back, which is insane. But throughout the match, there were some chances for the U.S. There were some moments here and there. So there was a decent battle chance in the third minute, which I know we talked about the goals, but we can highlight a little bit of the U.S. attacking chances, where it was he had a pretty good shot that was deflected. Pulisic they had a break in the 20th minute. Battle sent the ball off to him.
Pulisic was a little slow on taking that shot.
Yeah, honestly, the best thing, his best option there is probably let it run on his left foot, hit it like that. But at the end of the day, didn't play out. But and then there was a Tillman chance that he had where in the 43rd minute, Weah beat his man, played in the deadly diagonal ball on the ground basically across the six. Tillman runs onto it, tries to left foot it, doesn't get much of it. It's kind of deflected off the line by a defender. And then, I mean, in the second, what do you think, Luke? Do you have any comments on the goals before we dive into like the second half difference and everything?
Well, the first half goal, no further comments on that.
Yeah.
I think the first half setup, everything felt disconnected to me. Like touches were poor, balls were popping up off the pitch. I don't know if it was the pitch they were playing on.
I think everybody seems to think it was a little bit of the pitch involved, you know?
It just still felt unconcentrated. It seemed like there wasn't a lot of focus. And really, there was not a lot of drive, in my opinion, is what I felt. I felt some people were good. Musa was good, right? I thought he was good on the ball.
He was good on the ball, but there were other things lacking, I will say.
Yeah, which is fine, but he's not a defensive mid, right? He's being asked to do things that naturally I don't think he's the best at. Yeah. He's not Tyler Adams in that position, right? That's just not going to be who he is. If he's compared to him in that way, of course he's going to come short. Other players who stood out, I thought Pulisic was pretty good when he had the ball at his feet, but he really didn't get the ball much in the first half.
Yeah, that kind of changed in the second half a little bit.
It did, but it felt... I really struggle.
Right side dominant.
I really struggle with how we're set up because I feel like there's no pathway to get the ball from, say, the right wing to the left wing in an amount of time where a defense doesn't have time to rotate.
Yeah, in
my opinion, it feels so slow to me, and I think the reason why that is because we didn't have that strong presence in the 10 spot. Malik Tillman, I think, was a little hesitant. I don't think he was asking for the ball in the right positions, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was good, right? I think he played the ball well off when he needed to, had a couple chances where he could have turned in situations I would have preferred him to.
Yeah.
But then when Gio comes on in the second half, I think we see a different side to that, right?
Absolutely.
Because the talent and the just natural footballing instincts become readily apparent as soon as he's on the pitch.
Yeah, dude, I think almost every time we talk about Gio on this podcast, the comparisons to Kevin De Bruyne and not absolute, I'm not saying Gio's Kevin De Bruyne, but it's a situation where when Gio picks the ball up anywhere on the pitch, he is a danger to the other team's defense.
He is.
And there's simply not, I mean, even with Pulisic at times, there's not, the U.S. doesn't have an attacker that does that really besides Gio.
No, we don't. Malik Tillman might grow into that.
So elite. He could. He
might grow into that, but he's just, as we said earlier, the margins are fine. He's not quite at that level yet.
Mm-hmm. I agree. But Tillman has come along. He really has. I think there were 3 or 4 moments last night in that match against Jamaica where if a little thing goes here, a little thing goes there, he would have had a great performance,
Yeah.
It just shows the margins, the margins are so thin. But yeah, do you any comment on the other 2 U.S. goals?
In my opinion, my frustration too with the second half is we know Jamaica's going to sit deep. They have a goal. They're not going to come out unless it's a really good break opportunity. And they did have a couple, but they just didn't convert them. So the way we set up in the second half, I feel like it was either, play the ball around the back right, between our center backs and, full backs or even touch a winger, right?
Yeah.
And there was no penetration into that area where the 10 should be. Gio had to drop incredibly deep at times to get a touch on the ball.
Yep.
And then all we tried to do was play down the wings and get a cross in. And that's Berhalter ball for you. That's exactly what he wants, which is insane because that is what the team's making him do. They're fine with us playing like that, and for good reason, because the likelihood of that working is so slim, especially when you have 10 defenders sitting back within 20 yards of each other.
I think it's completely different. It's not a completely different conversation, but if you're going to play this way, it should be Ricardo Pepi starting.
Sargent, if he's there.
If Sargent's there. I mean, I am fully on the Sargent bandwagon, but
I think that's
if you're going to play this way, that's not what Ballo does well.
That's the reason why Haji Wright came in, because Greg knew that we were just going to be playing balls in the box at the end because we didn't have a shot at scoring a goal in a kind of, organic way that doesn't involve crossing. That's just not something that we can do at this point because we're not set up to do that.
Yeah, and then you see the 2 goals kind of happen when Jamaica has to come out of their shell a little bit, and there's a little more space for Gio to find Haji twice. Which I mean, they were good goals, but I mean at the end of the day, like we're still just not seeing that. Like you're saying, like it's way too predictable when teams are packing it in. You know,
I think we really struggle at playing vertically, right? Everything is side to side, and then try to play a winger through, right? I really want us to see us play more vertically in the center of the pitch, and that involves getting more bodies in there, and that's fine, right? I would love to see a double pivot where we can have that build up between players and get a little more of a box structure in the midfield, because as of now, if you look at the way we set up at portions, it was our 2 back center backs and then Musa, and then that was it. We had a triangle right there, and there's no one else is in the entirety of that remaining middle center space until our striker at the very top.
Yep.
Right? And how are you supposed to build out like that? Because what happens is you just play it wide. We continue to play it wide. And that's why I think in the first half, Pulisic was not getting the touches he needed, because it would cycle there and then cycle to the right center back, go to the left center back, but it never got played to Anthony Robinson to where he could play it to Pulisic.
Yeah, it was rare. It was rare in that first half for that to happen. I think that's a great point, Luke.
Right, because we have McKinney on the pitch as well, playing as a midfielder, but he's pushing so high up. And he's pushing so wide at times to stretch the pitch. There's no one in there to play it into. And then Ballow's going to struggle, of course, because there's no one for him to interplay with. And that's what he's good at.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. That's and then you have in the second half, you have West playing as a right back at times, kind of inverting with Weah a little bit. And it's to me, it's not. I think that's kind of just due to Des being out and on the suspension, which he'll be back for the final. So I'm assuming we will not see Scally for that matchup because
I'm going to be honest.
Really struggled.
If I was watching this match and I was an opposing coach, I would be tempted to play something similar to a 1-3-6. If you're going to sit really deep, why not just throw an extra body back there? Because all we're going to want to do is try to cross the ball and make us do something different, because I did not see any capacity or intention to do anything else.
Yeah.
I feel like what Greg would do is probably try to bring on another striker to put another body in the mix and then continue to play on the wings.
Yeah.
Right? Hoping to get a good cross in and maybe we make a connection on it. It's desperate, and I hate watching that type of football, frankly.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It is upsetting, but the good thing though is that I'm pretty certain Mexico will not set up in a 1-3-6 because they just won't do that. So we'll see. I think we'll see more of a fluid game with Mexico. I think typically in these matchups, it's a lot more open. There's a lot more space for us to attack in. But who would you pick for your midfield pairing? Your midfield 3 in the Mexico matchup. Do you have anything you want to add to the Jamaica match? Anything else we want to touch on before we?
I thought Haji Wright was really good.
I thought he was good.
He
too.
got an opportunity and he put the ball in the back of the net when he had
really
to.
Really capitalized.
It's what he's been doing this season, right? He's really kind of stepped up to it. He's played well for Coventry. It's been a great fit for him, and maybe. I would like to see him stay there for a little bit longer, frankly. I don't think it's time for him to make a move. If he has maybe another good season in the championship next year, maybe then it's time for a move somewhere else. But stay where you're getting minutes, stay where you're scoring goals, and continue to grow, because I think there's a spot on this roster for him, right? He's got a good skill set. I think, frankly, I don't know who we're gonna have to call in 4 forwards every camp is kind of what I'm thinking at this point.
Yeah.
Between Haji Wright, Sargent, Pepe, and then also Flo, right?
Yeah.
Those seem like the 4 that have to be there, and I think all of them have done enough to deserve a spot. So that means another winger's got to go. So we'll have to. I mean, Sargent could be. He used to be classified as a winger.
Haji also can play a wing too. So
yeah,
it's there's. I think the roster spots are getting harder and harder to come by. Really, as time goes on, which is a
makes
good
sense.
thing. Which is a good thing for us as a national team. But there's going to be some people that are left out. Like I mean, there are people on the periphery of this camp too. So
last thing I want to say about this match is I felt very frustrated with the team selection. It felt very picky and choosy. That I don't know if that's a good choice of words there.
that's
it felt okay. How about let me say it felt very nitpicky because some players were not in form and were chosen to start. Other players who were not in form, whether it's injuries, not playing, they were selected on the bench. And it didn't feel like this was our best optimal tactical setup against Jamaica. It felt very intentional that some people were playing and others weren't, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very clear where Halter has his favorites now.
He does.
And I will, to give him his credit a little bit, he had his favorites about 2 years ago, and he has moved on from some of them that should not have been in the picture at all. So
the MLS lifers have been moved on, which is good.
A lot of them have. But he's still... It's real. I think it's hard for him to move on from certain players in certain situations, which we'll go ahead, keep talking. We'll transition into that after you. If there's anything else you want to add about this match.
I just felt that, say, in the midfield, right? Musa's someone who hasn't been playing that much for AC Milan.
Yeah, sporadically, basically.
Johnny's someone who, since January, he's been playing for Real Betis.
You're getting to my point.
Right? Why is Musa selected over Johnny if Johnny's been playing? But then at the same time, we have Weah playing on the right wing too, who hasn't been playing, as opposed to someone like, let's just say, Aronson lately, who's been playing better and he's in good form. Why does Weah start over Aronson? And why does Musa start over Johnny? But then at the same time, there's just so many hypocrisies within how it's selected. I don't understand the process.
I don't think anybody
does. That's what I'm getting
to. That's the big thing. I don't think many of us do understand where these decisions come from, tactically, player selection, all this stuff. There's just no. It just doesn't make sense all the time, and I think we have to accept that as long as Greg Berhalter's coach, because what can we do about it at the end of the day? You know, like really.
Ultimately, it doesn't feel tactical who's selected at times, because going against this Jamaica team who you know is going to sit extremely deep. Why is Gio Reyna not starting? He's someone who can unlock that door with balls through, like we saw. His 2 assists to Haji Wright. That is exactly what his skill set is breaking down a compact, tightly coordinated team. That's his skill set.
It absolutely is. But I will say, if Gio would have played, I mean, he ended up playing, like 70-ish minutes, right? Whatever it was, with him subbing on at half. If he would have played the full 120 minutes, it would have been like, who knows what's going to happen? Like, I mean, he's not in great match fitness. He's had a long history of injury over the last 2 years. So I really don't think he should be playing a full 120 minutes in a match. So I don't hate the idea of him not starting, because if the U.S. had a great start and everything, then you sub him on the second 45. But in this situation, having him on the bench also paid dividends, because you can bring him on and change the match.
But why do you delay that? There's no reason to say, okay, we're gonna just play this first 45 and see how it goes, and then if we need to, we'll bring in our best players for the second 45.
I mean,
why would you not just start your best starting 11 to start out the first half?
Yeah.
Get up 3-4-0, take them off at halftime. You don't have to worry about it. Yeah. And in that situation, if you look at how many minutes our players played, you save the minutes they would have played.
Yeah, you're
right?
correct. We're
correct. Preserving them by just going for it from the beginning, instead of delaying that. Oh, well, let's see how this player plays in this position. Mm-hmm. I keep coming back to this, but I don't understand what is trying to be done here. I don't get it. And it feels like it's haphazard and frankly disorganized.
Yeah. Well, we both agree with that. You want to kind of transition to a little bit of Mexico prep, and then we can call it quits.
Yeah, that sounds great. Do you have any thoughts going into the Mexico-US match? Is there anything that you're looking for? Let's say in a starting 11. Who would you want to be starting against Mexico?
So I think one of the main things we're going to, like, this is going to be a completely different game, of course, than the Jamaica setup for us. At least it should be. Like, the preparation, the approach, like, Mexico's going to do completely different things Jamaica is going to do, or Jamaica did. And I want to see a different midfield to start the game. I want to see Johnny, Weston McKennie, and Gio Reyna playing through the midfield. Because, I mean, if you go back and watch Johnny, he offers so much more control. And especially, I mean, there's the situation now. I'm just going to go on my little rant now that the fact that Tyler Adams played in that match for so long, why even subbed on in a situation where you need a goal. So you're down 1-0 to Jamaica, which we're kind of going back. I said we were done, but we're not. You're down 1-0 to Jamaica, and you bring in Tyler Adams, who at his best day is maybe a good passer, or he's shown that he can do it, but that's not what he's great at. Like, that his skill set does not offer the ability to really break a team down, right? I mean, he's more of like
I do have a bit of a rebuttal to that, though. I think one reason why you do bring Tyler Adams on is because his superpower is breaking up an attack, right? I think you bring him in so you can push more people forward. Well, that is probably the thought process there, but keep going.
So I really think Johnny can do everything that Tyler Adams can do. I think he can defensively. He's just as sound as Adams, and he's in better form. He had a little bit of an injury before camp, so maybe there was question marks. I don't know. But if they're on a level playing field, and Adams is just coming back from an injury too, like, he should not be pushed in any regard to hurt himself again.
My biggest fear is Adams playing 90 minutes against Mexico. It shouldn't happen. His cap should be a half, right? Yeah. Even playing against Jamaica went over what I think he should have played. But back to you. Keep going.
I just think Johnny offers a more holistic midfielder position for the U.S. really at the end of the day. I mean, he is so much better. I think he's better distributing the ball. I think he moves the ball along at a faster pace. He's better with the ball at his feet than Tyler Adams. And to me, he seems like a lot better midfield pairing in Weston McKennie than Tyler Adams. And then he also can interplay with Gio Reyna too, to the point where that midfield pairing has a lot more dominance. And honestly, there was so much space in that Jamaica match in the midfield, like you talked about, that, and it's going to be a dogfight in the midfield for against Mexico. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I really think it should be Johnny, Wes, and Gio Reyna starting in the midfield.
Yeah, I do like that shout there. I think I agree with that midfield parent trio, I should say. Strictly from the perspective of, one, I think Tyler Adams' minutes should be limited harshly, especially after how much he played in the last match. Mm-hmm. I think Gio has to start, right? If nothing else, from the perspective of he is one of our, if not our most talented player. If he's not getting minutes somewhere else, he has to be getting them with us.
Yes.
In my opinion, it might be unfair to other players in the team, but Gio Reyna has to have that position. He has to have those minutes. And I think McKennie has been incredible in Serie A this season. He didn't have the ball in good positions. If he got the balls really deep or he was really far out near the end line.
And he played right back for part of the match. Like
he was almost playing his boots to the line, right? Which is kind of like, he does like to be in weird positions and pop up every once in a while in different places. But I don't think that's where I see him being the best for the U.S.
No, it was not a free-flowing West match. Like, there's sometimes you see, especially where he's just like bouncing around, distributing the ball everywhere, eliminating defenders with the ball at his feet too. Like, he's so diverse. He's like, he does so many things for this U.S. team, and in this game he kind of just wasn't on it. I mean, I don't think he was bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't one of those matches where he was just controlling things everywhere, you know?
No, he wasn't. So let's go back. Excuse me. Let's go back a little bit and talk about Johnny. So I'm looking at his stats right now on FB Ref, and his interceptions, his blocks, his clearances are all in the Well, interceptions and clearances are in the 90th percentile when compared to top 5 leagues.
Mm-hmm.
He is really good at that, but his XG is also really good for his positioning. And he's also good with assists as well, right? So he's offering more of that in-ball product.
It's more holistic.
Linking up the play a little bit better. His pass completion rate is good. It's serviceable. It's frankly probably better than Tyler Adams. I haven't looked at Adams on there, but I really think he offers you more at this point in time where Tyler Adams' minutes are limited and he's not able to fully play into his superpower of being that defensive disruptor in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So for Sunday, love to see the midfield trio that you said of Johnny, Gio, and Weston McKennie. Up top, I think I would love to see Pulisic, probably Ballo, and then on the right, I'd prefer Aronson, frankly.
That's who I would go with too.
Maybe even Tillman on the right. I think Weah is out of form. And I think he needs to have that pressure of knowing that he doesn't have that spot locked in.
Yeah.
Frankly.
It's been too long now where, Weah, this is like in the article we wrote that came out 2 days ago before the semifinal, where Weah just has not had the clinical edge that he needs to be like a starting member of his club team or his US team too. Like he just hasn't had enough results. And it's kind of crazy too, because if you watch him, he is so good at striking the ball. He sometimes he does certain things sometimes where it's like, holy shit, like he looks like he's like a
with him, I feel like everything,
top-of-the-line player,
everything is in moments.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Moments, he looks great. But there are some touches where sometimes he just tries to do too much.
Yeah.
Right? I think simplifying a little bit would be good for him because he is lightning quick. He is.
But if you watch him, though, Luke, so he is really fast, but he is not great at going by defenders, though.
No, he's not, right? If you get him on the run, it's going to be hard to catch him. He's not great at 1v1ing a defender and making 2 dribble moves and going around, right?
Yeah.
That's not his best skill set. He can do it occasionally, but he's not Gabriel Martinelli with the ball at his feet,
mm-hmm.
or even Pulisic in that way.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think I would like to see a little pressure added, because I think Weah easily could and maybe should be the starter on the right wing. But at this point right now, I think he needs to see that he doesn't have that position locked in and kind of add a little fuel to that fire, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
I think maybe that's what Greg was trying to do with Gio, perhaps, right? Start Malik Tillman. Malik Tillman's been really good at PSV this season.
I would not mind to see Tillman start on the right. I think he was, like we said earlier, he was really good in a couple moments today. And there were a couple runs he went on where it was like kind of him and Gio were the only 2 U.S. players that would make those little runs.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I just think whenever you're playing a team like Mexico, you want to put out your best tactical players and teams that allow us to play basically around Mexico,
Yeah. No, I agree. While we're on the topic of Mexico, we should highlight that Mexico did play Panama. They won 3-0. They got goals from Alvarez in the 41st, Quinones in the 44th.
Do your best. It's okay.
And then Panada in the 68th.
Yeah.
So, pretty easy victory there for them. It seems like Mexico is starting to play a little bit better. I think they're kind of building a little bit more confidence in their group and bouncing off that disappointing World Cup that they had, where they were hoping to go farther than they did, right?
It's so funny to me, though, that Mexico's best player, easily their best player in club form, Santi Jimenez, that he has not played.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
He doesn't play for them. He literally did not touch the pitch last night.
We'll see if he play. I imagine it seems like Sunday's a match where he'll be playing.
We'll
see.
If they want to leave him on the bench the whole time, I'm okay with that.
We'll see what happens.
I'm all right with it.
But ultimately, Sunday's going to be a good barometer for us. If we go out and we play like we did against Jamaica, we can still win, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if we go out and win 3-4-0, then that sends a statement of, okay, we were asleep against our match against Jamaica. We've woken up. We've got a feel for it. We're playing again. That's the first time we played together in over 3 months, maybe even 4.
It's been a while.
Kind of relearning that muscle memory again. That's the result I want to see.
Yeah. And the thing, too, though, to push back into the barometer thing is that, like, I think this U.S. team has shown over the last, like, 4 years, basically, that Mexico matchups aren't, like, I'm not downplaying the matchup at all, but, like, I think the barometer has to be Argentina, Brazil, like teams that are absolute world class. And this is a good thing to kind of like test them before going into Copa America and all that. But like, to me, we have to, for what Mexico is right now, this should be a match where we take care of business easily.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying as well. For a barometer, I don't mean Mexico is the barometer.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just want to be clear.
We want to see
that
an improvement from our last fixture.
Yeah.
Improve upon that performance that we played against Jamaica, because that was extremely poor. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say that's a 1, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
It was that bad. It was that disconnected. But we still managed to win, as you said at the beginning of the pod.
Yeah, we did. And the good thing, too, is, though, like I said, this U.S. team loves to play Mexico, so they'll for sure be up for it, especially after the last meeting where there were, 3 red cards?
Yeah.
And
Serginho Dest got sent off, and a couple other.
I'm excited to see Dest play because he's in great club form right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this man just loves to play Mexico.
Imagine if he gets another red, though. What's going to happen?
Another red after Trinidad and Tobago, Mexico. His national team future could be questionable.
That would not be good. We don't want to see that happen to Serginho.
Dest is such a fun player to watch, so it'll be good to have him back.
Let's keep eyes on him, because maybe he does end up going back to Barca after Xabi leaves. You never know what could happen.
Dude, honestly, he feels like a Barca right back. Like, he really does, though.
He does play that free-flowing football with not a lot of defense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But is there anything else you want to add before we...
No. I think I'm good. I think I've gotten out everything that I wanted to say on the USMNT.
A little cathartic, you know?
Yeah, a little bit. I was away playing a little bit of pickleball, and then came back to see that the U.S. conceded in the 35th second. That's
crazy.
Not the result you expect to see.
It's not, but we'll be excited for the matchup on Sunday. It should be fun. One
other thing that I did learn is never listen to my co-host about what time a match starts, because I was told by Paul that it started at 8 p.m.
No, I don't think you ever asked me.
You told me it started at 8 p.m.
No, you asked me what time Kentucky played.
No, I
do
did
not. I really don't think so. My memory is very spotty, but I do not think that you asked me.
There you go. Way to support your side here by saying my memory is spotty.
I'm hedging my bet a little bit, but
yeah, as you should. But nevertheless, we're on to the final. The U.S. is playing Mexico. Those are always fun matches to watch. So even if you're just sticking around from an FPL pod and listening to this pod for the heck of it, maybe turn on U.S.-Mexico, right? It could be an interesting watch for you, or if nothing else, watch the highlights.
Even if you are neutral that does not give a single shit about this match, you will absolutely be entertained no matter the end result, because there's always sparks that fly. There's always something in U.S. Mexico. So,
yep. If there were odds on, I'm sure there are odds somewhere. I would wager, probably over for 0.5 on a red card happening in this match.
Yeah, probably so. But also, there is an article on our website that we've tweeted out, and also I don't think we posted anywhere else. But if anybody wants to do a little more reading with the U.S. too, we have that out there. So check it out. But besides that, I think that's going to wrap it up from us.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. And we look forward to talking to you all soon. The next episode will probably be an FPL pod that we'll be doing before game week 30 comes in.
Game week 30. We have 9 game weeks left.
It's wild. And we've got a couple game weeks that are back-to-back too. So got to get ready for that quick turnaround.
All right, everybody. We will talk to you soon. Go Gunners.
Thanks, everyone.
Go Baby Eagles.